There were 4 of us girls that liked him. He came to our church. We all went for him. But the girl code was, once he picked someone, the rest of the girls should stay away. That was the code. At the high school, we never saw him. Seniors, juniors, and sophomores each had our own floor, and you weren't supposed to go to the other floors. He was a junior, and we girls were sophomores. We were at the Y, and he came over to us. He reached out a hand to me, and he said, "Would you like to have this dance?" I thought he was going to pick the other girl, my friend who could pass for white. But he didn't pick her. He picked me. I was 15, and he was 16. He asked if he could walk me home. Of course, I didn't let him kiss me. You don't do that on the first date. We dated for a while. Remember when I told you about my friend who could pass for white? One day I saw her walking near his house. She didn't live anywhere near that street. She just wanted to bump into him unplanned. I didn't like her anymore after that because she was not being true to the girl code. Well, he graduated ahead of me, and he went to college down south to an HBCU where his uncle was a professor in the education department. We drifted apart. But several years later, after I graduated from high school, I was coming out of Kresge's department store on Broad Street downtown, and his brother was passing by, and he said hi. I said, "Oh, hi, tell your brother I said hello." Well, the brother pulled out a pen and a paper. He said, "Give me your number." Next thing you know, he called me, and we started dating again. Then one day, I was out shopping, and some woman, a mystery woman, comes up to me. She pats her hand on my hand. "He's getting married," she said. Then she walked away. I was confused. Come to find out, he had been engaged to another girl, but he broke up with her when he heard from me, when his brother saw me and got my number. Next thing you know, he asked me to marry him. After we got back from our honeymoon, people were like whispering to me. The first girl he had been engaged to passed away. She took her own life. That was the strangest thing. That was terrible. Anyway, we were happily married for 60 years. I don't have information about the fiance, but I could tell you about the girl who could pass for white. During high school, she cussed out the guidance counselor. The guidance counselor who was encouraging her to go to college. The guidance counselor thought she belonged in college because of how she looked. The guidance counselor didn't tell anybody else in the class they should go to college. But my friend didn't graduate. She had a baby with her boyfriend and dropped out of high school. Her parents divorced when she was young. Her father wanted to take her to California. He was living there and passing for white. He wanted her to have more opportunities and to go to college. She didn't want to leave New Jersey, her mother, or her aunt. So she stayed in New Jersey and lived in the house that her father had bought. When she was in 5th or 6th grade, her mother rented a room out in the house to a man who worked as a handyman. Once he moved in, her personality changed. She looked at the ground if I asked about him. She never wanted to talk about him. We were still friends, but when we got to Robert Treat Junior High, she started running with a fast crowd. She would be flirting with boys more than anyone. She'd get right up in their face. I thought that the handyman molested her. I asked her, but she wouldn't talk about it. But after he moved into the house, her whole personality changed. I used to have a big crush on this boy named Pete. He was always trying to act tough. He had this boppy kind of walk. I just thought he was so cute. But then he did something that made me hate him. He touched my rear end. I hated him. I was so embarrassed. I liked him, but at the same time, I couldn't stand him. Well, this crush lasted about 3 or 4 years. When we were 15, I saw him at a party. He was taking people's coats. The other people's coats he took and he just threw them on the bed. But when he took my coat, he put it down very carefully. After the party, he asked if he could walk me home, and I said yes. So he walked me home. I made him admit and apologize for touching my rear end. And he apologized, but he couldn't really talk that much. He couldn't talk about anything. I did most of the talking. Then he kissed me, and I saw he was trembling, like he was shaking. When he kissed me, I didn't hear any bells ringing or anything. I didn't feel any magic anymore. The crush was over. The dream was over. It was dead.